Are Orange County home values setting up for a crash in 2024? Well, if you've been watching the headlines or listening to some of the talking heads, you might feel that's the case. Although no one has a crystal ball and we can't 100% predict the future of housing in Orange County, we should look at the underlying metrics, the data points that really matter and impact housing before we make that decision. So let's cover today the 6 factors that I believe impact the housing home values in Orange County the most. And here are the 6 reasons I believe Orange County home values will not crash in 2024. Surprise, surprise. So those factors are unemployment, foreclosure, inflation, purchase applications, interest rates, and inventory. So each of these is a blend, or more prominently, either a demand issue or a supply issue. And we're going to go through each of these and give you some tools that you can monitor and determine for yourself which way the home values in Orange County are likely to go. So let's start first with some of these negative headlines. You may have seen them everywhere. I'm not going to sit on this too long, but everywhere you go, U.S. housing market disaster in 2024. And this is not a small account. This Danielle DiMartino, she's got thousands and thousands of subscribers, and presumably they're listening to what she says. And everywhere you go on Yahoo Money, all the big platforms, you're seeing a lot of negativity in that regard. Not everyone, but the vast majority. So let's go first to unemployment. So that was one of the 6 data points that I mentioned. Right now, we're sitting at, in the U.S., near a 20-year low in unemployment. So go all the way back to January of 2004, 20 years ago, unemployment was at 5.7%, climbed up to 9.5% during the great mortgage crisis of 2007 through 2013, and then dwindled from there. Obviously, we had a spike when COVID hit, when the pandemic hit. But if you look where we're at today, 3.7% in November 2023, that's near a 20-year low. So again, if people don't have jobs, they can't pay their mortgages. But right now, unemployment's at about a 20-year low. Something to watch. Okay, the next thing is foreclosure filings. So in the media right now, you're seeing some talk about rising foreclosure filings. That, in a vacuum, that sounds scary. You need to look at the number, though, the actual raw numbers of these. These are calculated quarterly, and this is the United States during the last 20 years. And what we've got is a spike where you had, over, nearly 1 million foreclosure filings every quarter for 3 straight quarters during the mortgage crisis. But from there, it dwindled dramatically. We reached a low point in 2021. So we're not very far off that. Yes, they've risen slightly, but we're still under 100,000 foreclosure filings per quarter. So what does that mean for Orange County? And in Orange County, that rate of foreclosure is even lower than the rest of the nation. But what does it mean? Well, obviously, if a lot of inventory comes on the market due to being foreclosed on, that's going to put pressure on home values to go lower. We're not seeing that. We're near a 20-year low in foreclosure filing rates. So again, something to watch and monitor, but when you're at near a 20-year low, that's probably not a factor in contributing to home values going down. All right, the next is inflation, and there's 2 measures of inflation. One is really monitoring consumers, and the other is monitoring businesses. The first is CPI, and this is again a 20-year look back. You can see we reached a high point of 9.1% in June of 2022. We're sitting today at 3.4%. Obviously, the Fed's target rate is lower than that, and the Fed's main weapon to fight inflation, as most of us know, is interest rates. So they use that Fed funds rate to combat inflation. The other metric that we should look is this PCE. This is more monitoring inflation with regards to businesses. The Fed has signaled that this is the primary index that they're looking at in helping them determine whether to lower or raise the Fed funds rate. So you can see, again, it climbed, it reached a height in 2022 of 6.3 or 5.3%, but we're sitting right now at a 3.2%. You can see it's been declining consistently. So again, something to definitely watch. Geopolitical events can impact this. Right now we've got conflict in the Middle East, and that conflict, some of you know, the Houthi rebels are causing problems with shipping lanes in the Red Sea, and that is making the cost of doing business higher as shipping's having to go around the Horn of Africa. So again, something to watch, but right now still pretty low. Okay, so we've covered inflation. Let's move on to a measure of demand. So here's a measure of consumer demand for housing. This is the Mortgage Bankers Association Purchase Application Index. What it's measuring is the number of mortgage loan applications that are being made. And as you can see, that's been rising consistently. So we reached a low point the end of December at 140.7. We're up to 162.2. Well, what's influencing that? To a great deal, it's the mortgage rates, which we're going to cover next. But also some of it is rate fatigue. People realize they're not going to get that 2 or 3% anymore, but they still want to buy. They still have a desire, whatever, for lifestyle change, job, numerous other reasons that people purchase. And after a while, when you see that rates are not going to go down to 3% again, but they are going lower, you're going to see a big tick up in purchase applications. And so this is a great way for sellers and buyers. Buyers, you're monitoring your competition level. So as you see this go up, you're going to have more competition out there for the same number of, the small number of homes that are available. And for sellers, you can monitor this and know for the next 30, 60, 90 days that what your likely appetite for your home is based on the fact that either mortgage applications are going up or down. All right, let's move on to the big one of the big ones, interest rates themselves. So as you know, we used, back in 2021, we hit a low point around 3% or just under 3% for a 30-year fixed. Those days are over. We hit a high point in October of last year, October 2023 at 7.79% was the average 30-year fixed rate. But look at this. Obviously, the Fed has feeling that they have successfully thwarted inflation enough to lower interest rates again, and we've seen a significant reduction in interest rates. The Fed funds rate has indirect impact on mortgage rates, but for our purposes, we'll use that. Here we are at 6.6% average for a 30-year fixed, and that is over a point lower than just 3 months ago. So Fed is also signaling at least 3 more rate reductions in 2024. Some people speculate that maybe as many as 6, so that would have a dramatic impact on interest rates. What are some of the factors to watch? Well, one of the other metrics that we covered earlier in the video is inflation. Watch inflation to see what the Fed is likely to do with interest rates, and you'll have a good idea of what's to come. The big factor of all the 6, I'd say the most important is probably the inventory. So this is a look back in Orange County of all residential property types, single family residences. And we're going back, you see a high point of 19,000, a little over 19,000 active listings in Orange County back in April of 2008. From that point on, we have declined significantly. We're sitting right now at near a 15-year low with 2,344 active listings at the end or in December. So that's orders of magnitude lower. That's a real constriction on supply, and when supply is constricted, it's really hard to see values dropping in Orange County. This is fairly true of most markets in the US, but not all. But Orange County has persistently had an inventory issue. It's great if you're a seller. It's not so great if you're a buyer. And I'll tell you what, if we look back even further than 2008, this number is even higher. Back before that, you had inventory levels in the 22,000 range. So we're sitting at almost probably a 20-year low in inventory levels, with the lowest point being December of 2021 at 2,170 homes on the market. So my prediction for 2024 is this, that if inflation remains tamed, we don't have geopolitical events that impact inflation or other aspects of our economy, then you'll see the Fed aggressively lower rates as they've already signaled. And when they do that, even more buyers will come into the marketplace. And if, depending on where the interest rates go, we're going to see either single-digit increases in home values in Orange County. But if the rates come down quite a bit, then expect double-digit, potentially, home value increases in Orange County this year. The thing to watch is there also is pent-up desire for sellers to sell. So we've got this persistently low inventory. A lot of sellers over the years now, for many years, have delayed big decisions about selling their home, whether it's they want to relocate or they're retiring, they want to downsize, etc. Many of those sellers have not sold their homes. Obviously, that's why we've had this persistently low inventory. So watch that. If we do begin to see a dramatic rise in inventory levels, the balance of whether it's a seller's market or a buyer's market will become more even. But where things stand right now, I predict that lower interest rates will bring far more buyers into the marketplace than it will sellers. You'll still have that balance, that ratio of buyers to sellers being very high, and that will keep home values up in Orange County for 2024. I hope this has provided some insight and given you some tools to monitor home values in a more accurate way yourself. Dave Gubler, IML Real Estate, and as always, I aim to get you better results. Thanks.